When you think about businesses that are selling through the roof, like Skims or Allbirds, sure, you think about a great product, a cool brand, and great marketing. But an often overlooked secret is actually the businesses behind the business, making selling and for shoppers buying simple. For millions of businesses, that business is Shopify. It's home of Shop Pay, the #1 checkout in the world. You can use it to boost conversions up to 50%, meaning way less carts going abandoned and way more sales going through to checkout. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout Allbirds uses. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/income, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/income to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/income.
This is The Planted Runner. I'm Coach Claire Bartholic. You know the feeling. When motivation hits, it can feel electric. You are determined to go for that run, hit the gym, clean your closet, empty your inbox. You feel amazing and unstoppable until something stops you. Maybe it starts pouring rain right as you're starting your watch, or maybe you got behind at work and you just can't fathom the thought of going to the gym. And that closet you meant to clean, it can wait another day. Or maybe that's not you at all. You don't rely on fickle motivation. You go for that run in the rain. You go to the gym when you're tired, and your closet, it's always organized. And yet, on the inside, you know it's never enough. There's always more that you could be doing or should be doing better. You know intellectually that this kind of thinking is ridiculous. Yet, the same patterns and the same thoughts come back over and over again. How is it that some people seem to be calm under pressure, aren't bothered by spiraling thoughts, and walk through life with a sense of ease, even when things are hard? Could it be that they're just wired differently? Or is it a skill that can be trained? Let's find out. Welcome back to The Planted Runner. I'm Coach Claire Bartholic, and my mission is to help you improve your running, your mindset, and your life with science-backed training and plant-based nutrition. Today, I'm going to talk about how your brain changes through repetition and why intentional cognitive conditioning can completely alter the way you perform, not just in running, but in life. You'll learn why repeated thoughts become automatic patterns, how your brain builds stronger pathways through practice, and why small daily mental reps often matter more than waiting until you feel motivated. If you've ever wondered why certain habits feel difficult to break or why some thoughts arrive instantly the moment things get hard, this is the episode for you. And if you are ready to put the neuroscience in action and start actual cognitive conditioning training, get ready for something really exciting. Begin with 10 is my new 30-day cognitive conditioning program, 10 minutes a day of guided brain training designed to help rewire the way you think using repetition, breathwork, and neuroscience-backed techniques used by elite performers around the world. This is not passive listening. You are actively training your mind with daily mental reps that strengthen calm, certainty, emotional control, and focus in a way that compounds over time. I'll share more details later on in the show, but if you are ready to learn more right now, head to theplantedrunner.com, begin with 10. That's theplantedrunner.com/begin with 10 with the number 10 spelled out TEN. And don't forget to stay with me all the way to the end of the episode for this week's Mental Strength Minute. Fortify your mind in 60 seconds or less. Let me ask you something. When did you decide to call yourself a runner? Was that the very first run? I'm gonna guess not. Unless you've been running consistently since you were a kid, your first run as an adult was probably pretty uncomfortable. But you stuck with it, run after run. And as your fitness grew, your identity shifted. You became a runner because you ran over and over again. Running itself didn't make you a runner. The repetition did. When it comes to physical fitness, it's pretty clear how you do it. Repeat small actions consistently over time and you'll get fit, right? So why is this concept so hard to apply to the other things in life that we want to change? So many runners that I've worked with are fit, successful, and accomplished in life, and yet they also struggle with perfectionism, overthinking, rumination, and overfunctioning when intellectually they already know that this is unhelpful. They often become hyper-aware of all of this and immediately wonder what's wrong with them, and next, how can they fix this? First of all, there's nothing wrong with you. And yes, you absolutely can change these thought patterns the same way you change your body. Your brain does not change simply because you want it to. Your brain changes when a new thought or behavior is repeated enough times that it becomes stronger than the old one. This is not mindset language. This is neuroscience. It also helps explain how religion works, why cults are so powerful, why scrolling on social media becomes so addictive. Your brain doesn't care about the truth, your goals, or what's good or bad for you. All it cares about is what you repeat. So let's use this for good instead of evil, okay? Research on neuroplasticity shows that the brain remains capable of reorganizing itself throughout your entire life. Now, for a long time, scientists believed that the adult brain was mostly fixed, that after childhood, there was very little room for structural change. But over the last few decades or so, we have learned that the brain is constantly adapting based on what you repeatedly do, think, and pay attention to. One of the most important principles behind this is often summarized with the phrase, neurons that fire together, wire together. That phrase comes from the work of psychologist Donald Hebb, who described how repeated activation of the same neural circuits strengthens those pathways over time. In simple terms, when you think the same thought repeatedly or perform the same behavior repeatedly, the connection between those brain cells becomes more efficient. The signal travels more easily. The pathway becomes more familiar. Eventually, it becomes your default. That is why habits can feel automatic, even when they no longer serve you. The brain is always trying to conserve energy, so once it finds an efficient pathway, it prefers to use it again. This is why you can wake up and without even making a conscious decision, find yourself already checking email, already worrying, already mentally running through everything that could go wrong that day. Your brain has learned that sequence and it runs it because it's been practiced. And importantly, your brain does not distinguish between a pattern that is helping you and a pattern that is hurting you. It simply responds to repetition. Research using brain imaging has shown that repeated mental training can actually change both the structure and the function in areas of the brain related to attention, emotional regulation, and decision-making. Studies on mindfulness practice, for example, have found measurable changes in the prefrontal cortex, which is heavily involved in focus, planning, and self-control, as well as changes in the amygdala, which plays a major role in how we process stress and threat. That means when someone practices directing attention intentionally, even for short periods of time, they're not just having a calming experience in the moment. They are literally strengthening the systems that make it easier to regulate themselves in the future. And this matters because most of us assume that if something feels hard, it must not really be working. But difficulty is often just evidence that the old pathway is still stronger than the new one. Think about physical training. If you decide to strengthen your legs, you would never expect one set of squats to change your body. You understand that adaptation happens because of repeated stress followed by recovery. The brain works in a remarkably similar way. Repeated activation of a new mental pathway creates adaptation, but only if you keep returning to it. This is why repetition matters more than intensity. And I'm willing to bet that you already knew all of this before listening to me talk about this today. You are a runner, and most likely you are also high functioning in a lot of areas in life. Intellectually, you already know this. So if you're so fit and so smart already, why can't you just think your way out of the doubt, rumination, and overfunctioning? Because it's not about what you think. It's about what you repeat. I'll go over that and more when we come back. Some of the smartest, fittest people I know are struggling with the same thing. They are, by every definition, successful, but on the inside, they are repeating the same patterns, keeping them overthinking, overfunctioning, and overreacting. I know this well because it happens to me too. Thankfully, the same concepts we use to train our bodies work on the mind. Begin with 10 is a 30-day guided mental conditioning cycle designed to strengthen the way you think, regulate emotion, direct attention, and move through uncertainty with more steadiness. Begin each day with just 10 minutes of active brain work designed to change your mind in the best way possible. Because the brain responds the same way the body does. What you practice becomes easier to access. What you repeat becomes more automatic. In just 10 minutes a day, you'll use structured repetition, breath control, and deliberate focus to strengthen calm, certainty, emotional steadiness, and the ability to direct your mind instead of being dragged by it. These are active audio workouts rooted in neuroscience and influenced by techniques used by elite athletes, because mental strength is built the same way physical strength is built, through consistent reps. Wave 1 is now open and starts March 30th, 2026. The first group gets lifetime access at the introductory rate before pricing increases. If you're listening to this after March 30th, 2026, you will be able to sign up for either a waitlist or join the next wave of the program. Go to theplantedrunner.com/beginwith10 to claim your spot. That's theplantedrunner.com/beginwith10 with the number 10 spelled out TEN.
The Planted Runner is sponsored by Liquid IV. We have made it, team. Spring is finally in the air, the daffodils are blooming in my yard, and the days are getting longer. For runners, spring means traveling for your big race. And part of your race day prep is making sure you're getting hydrated on the plane or in the car before the race. Liquid IV is superior hydration than water alone. And right now, you can get 20% off your first order with code PLANTED at checkout. I just got my order of mandarin orange and pina colada, and I honestly love them both. Just one stick and 16 ounces of water hydrates better than water alone. Powered by Live Hydroscience, an optimized ratio of electrolytes, essential vitamins, and clinically tested nutrients that turn ordinary water into extraordinary hydration. Don't take off for your spring race without it. Tear, pour, live more. Go to liquidiv.com and get 20% off your first order with code PLANTED at checkout. That's 20% off your first order with code PLANTED at liquidiv.com.
Welcome back to The Planted Runner. I'm Coach Claire Bartholic. Despite what you might see on social media, most people don't wake up one day and decide to go run a marathon. They start with 1 mile or maybe even just 10 minutes, and over months or years of repeated action, they are fit enough to run a marathon. That first run doesn't change the body much at all. It might even feel difficult, ineffective, and completely demoralizing. That's because you're breaking the pattern of being a non-runner to becoming a runner. And your brain hates breaking patterns. Your brain loves deepening patterns, not changing them and starting new ones. That is why a single inspiring moment of motivation rarely changes behavior for very long. But small, deliberate acts repeated every day do. There is fascinating research on this from skill acquisition studies as well. When people learn a new physical skill, whether it's playing the piano, learning a sport, or even improving balance, researchers consistently find that shorter, repeated sessions often outperform occasional, longer efforts. This is because the brain responds better to frequent reinforcement than to one isolated burst. That principle applies far beyond physical skills as well. If you spend 10 intentional minutes every morning reading something thoughtful, writing, sitting quietly, or deliberately choosing where your mind goes before the world starts making demands on you, you're giving your brain repeated evidence of a new pattern. You are saying, before I react, I direct. And over time, that matters because eventually what feels intentional starts to feel familiar. There's also strong research showing that attention itself is one of the most powerful forces shaping neuroplasticity. In other words, what you consistently pay attention to changes your brain. It's not just about what you do, but about what you mentally rehearse. So be careful if you love true crime, scary movies, dark books, and constant bad news feeds. Your brain becomes more frightened, worried, and suspicious when you train it with that kind of attention. On the other hand, if you repeatedly direct your attention towards a specific thought, a specific value, or a specific action that you want more of in life, those pathways become easier to access. This is one reason athletes use visualization so effectively. Research has shown that mentally rehearsing a moment activates many of the same neural pathways as physically performing it. The brain responds to vivid repetition even when the body is still. That does not mean that visualization replaces training, of course, but it does mean that the brain is always listening to what is rehearsed. And I think this is where many people misunderstand change. They believe change begins when life becomes easier or motivation appears, when the schedule opens up, or when they finally feel ready. But research suggests that readiness often follows repetition, not the other way around. You do not build a new identity by declaring it once. You build it by repeating behaviors that support it until the brain starts to expect that version of you. At first, that feels awkward because unfamiliar things always do. A new pattern often feels less natural than an old one, even if the old one is not helping you. But that discomfort, it's actually exactly what we want. It is the evidence that the pathway is still under construction. The encouraging part is that the brain keeps responding as long as you keep repeating. Even later in life, even after years of doing something one way, the brain remains adaptable. That is why people can become calmer, more disciplined, more focused, and more intentional at 50 than they were at 30. This is not because their personality changed overnight, but because repeated thought and repeated action slowly built a stronger pathway. And if you think about it, you have already done this many times in your life. At some point, there were things that once felt difficult that now feel automatic. Driving a car, learning how to use your watch on a run, knowing how to pace yourself without overthinking every mile. The brain learned because you repeated it, which means the real question is not whether your brain is changing. It already is. The real question is whether you're being intentional about what you're teaching it. And now it's time for this week's Mental Strength Minute. Fortify your mind in 60 seconds or less. Today's topic is, what am I rehearsing right now? In any hard moment, whether you are in the middle of a tough workout or a stressful day, pause and ask yourself that question. Because if your default is panic, defeat, distraction, or delay, your brain is learning that pattern. But if you catch it and deliberately rehearse steadiness, patience, or forward motion, even briefly, even if you don't believe it in the moment, you interrupt the old pattern and strengthen something better. You do not become what you intend occasionally. You become what you rehearse repeatedly. Thank you for listening to The Planted Runner, part of the Evergreen Podcast Network. Don't forget that you can enter to win a free custom training plan for your next race and get featured on the show. Just write an Apple Podcast review and enter at theplantedrunner.com/PRLab. Of course, reviews are the #1 way to boost this show's reach, and it's a great way to tell me what you'd like to hear next because I read every single one. Have a great run today.